Alright guys, welcome back. Before we dive into things today, I just want to start off with some news. The Mike's RC World Instagram page has officially cracked 10,000 followers. Freaking awesome. Can't thank you guys enough for all the support. Without you guys commenting and liking and sharing and interacting with me, talking about tiny trucks and cars, this wouldn't be what it is. So I enjoy doing this with you guys. I appreciate all the support, and because of that, we're going to be doing a pretty cool giveaway. So if you're not already following the Instagram page, head on over to there. Check that out. I'll have some details up on that shortly. If you watched my last video, I had asked at the end of it, what you wanted to see as far as some of the new trucks that I had kind of like shown like a sneak peek of. And I didn't actually get any requests for any of those trucks, but what I did get a request for was for this here Bruiser in the showcase. It's not the first time that truck's been inquired about, so let's get this out of the case. We'll dive into that, and we'll go from there. All right, here we go. All right, let's talk Bruisers. More specifically, this particular Bruiser. But before we dive into it, allow me to give you guys just a quick little backstory on my involvement with Bruisers and Mountaineers and other vintage Tamiya 3-speeds. So my first Bruiser was back when I was actually, I think, 13 years old. And I actually purchased it from a Canadian-based like Craigslist style page. And I basically bought it sight unseen. The guy didn't have any pictures of it. He said that it was rough, and I remember, I think, sending him a money order for like $190 or something like that. And I got the truck, and it was rough, like he said, and it was missing some things, which back then was a bit of a problem. The parts were hard to find. But my stepdad took it to work for me, and he repaired the body and gave it this really nice base coat, clear coat, orange paint job. And I dubbed the truck, it was called Orange You Just, and that was really the start of my fascination and collection with Bruisers and Mountaineers and other 3-speeds. So yeah, that's where it all started. So this particular truck, though, is actually like a hodgepodge, like a conglomerate of trucks now at this point. The original truck that this was an eBay find. It had this really nice painted body on it. And I ended up finding another vintage Bruiser that had a bunch of like early 2000s parts that were like aftermarket parts when there was some support for these things at that point during like the old RCMT Easy Board days. So I purchased that truck and ended up taking that truck apart, taking this truck apart and taking apart the Monster Bruiser, and kind of combined that truck with this truck and the Monster Bruiser and turned it into what you see here sitting on the showcase. So let's just talk about a couple of the parts on this thing that makes this truck as cool as it is. So for starters, it has a black powder coated chassis, and it also has really nicely painted axles, like automotive painted axles. The paint job on this is really, really nice. It has Juggernaut leaf springs in it, and then if you take a close look here, you'll see it has these really nice aluminum wheels on it. Those are actually M. Thompson wheels, which if you were around in the old RCMT days, Mark was a guy that made maybe like a half dozen, maybe not even a half dozen, but somewhere like a couple different styles of aluminum wheels for the Bruiser long before anyone else was making Bruiser parts or supporting the Bruiser market at that time. This particular style is called the Jugster style, and that's because my good friend Kevin Good, better known as Jugster, he actually designed this pattern, and then Mark was actually had the access to cut them out and make them quicker and stuff. So, but they were sold under the Jugster name. This truck also has Jugster front and back dual shock mounts with some vintage RC full drive blue anodized shocks. It has a aluminum lower shock mounts, which they might have been Mark's too. I'm not 100% sure. There was a couple of guys that had made those over the years. It does have some newer updated like parts such as the CC hand front and rear bumpers, also a CC hand roll bar, which I'm not 100% sold on yet, so that's just kind of sitting in the back at the moment. Also has the CC hand side Nerf bars, And then really what sold me on buying the other truck off eBay originally was that it had some vintage John Boyer ladder bars on it and a rear axle guard, which those are very hard to come by these days. They haven't been made in a long, long time now. RC Four Drive sold those many, many years ago. So I also actually have a matching front bumper, but I opted for the more stock style CC hand one on this particular build. The highlight of this truck is obviously the paint, which is super gorgeous. I'll take you guys up close and show you that. Has a really cool like custom interior set from RC Four Drive, one of the CC hand ones. And yeah, Proline Masher tires. I mean, they're in great shape. Those are actually pretty hard to find these days. If you would have told me back in 2005 when we were all using these for our 2.2 comp crawlers that these were going to be hard to find, I would have said you were crazy because they were dime a dozen. So crazy how times have changed. But yeah, so this thing's just got a bunch of cool goodies on it. It's a really nice Bruiser. Let me take you up close, show you the color change in the paint, and we'll go from there. So the paint on this thing is freaking awesome. The cool part is that through the Mike's RC World Facebook page and stuff, I was actually able to get in contact. Well, actually, he got in contact with me. The guy that actually painted it. He works in a full-size car automotive paint shop, and he did the paint job on the truck, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And you can see the color flip between the blues and the purples. It's awesome. And then you got these really nicely done, flames. And that, well, I know that's kind of like an old school thing nowadays, but I think it still has its place. And it's fitting because a Bruiser is an old school truck. In terms of scale and what's available nowadays, you could obviously get something way more realistic. So, old school truck, old school flame paint job. As you can see, like I said, I've got some random parts here floating in the bed. I tend to do that only because it's like, things that are on my to-do list, and it's like, all right, let me toss those in there, and then I have a free couple minutes, I'll work on that. Unfortunately, that just hasn't happened. Like I said, it's got really, really nice jugster patterned aluminum wheels from M. Thompson, and the Masher tires were like brand new. I don't think they were ever run. You can also see underneath there the Boyer style ladder bars. And then I'll bring you around the back here. You can kind of see the cool old school diff guard. It's got some vintage RC Four Drive threadless shocks that are pretty similar to the Parma Trinity UG style ones. And then it has, Kevin Jugster's shock mounts on there, front and back. So this is a really cool truck overall. The paint on it's really nice. The interior, like I was telling you, is really, really sweet. This is actually a kit that you could buy from RC Four Drive, or you were able to. I'm not sure if it's still being sold. But it was marketed for like their Mojave body set. And it's got a full internal cage and all that. And it's just a really cool, if you have like a custom truck, custom interior that goes along with it. So yeah, so that's this thing. There's not really too much to say about it. It's kind of your run-of-the-mill Bruiser, but I did have a request for it, so here it is. Yeah, when I get it finished up fully, we'll try to get it out maybe for some pictures and some stuff. So keep a lookout for that. Hopefully, maybe I can get this one finished up a little sooner than later. It's not the first time it's been asked about, so maybe I should get myself in gear and get that done. But yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys. Again, thank you for all the like and support and comments and all that stuff, especially on the Instagram page and everything, and even more so here on YouTube. Growing the following is not easy. There's a lot of people that, you could listen to talk about toy trucks, but you guys are here listening to me, so I appreciate that. If you're not already, please remember to follow the channel. And also on Instagram and Facebook, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.